Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Thomas comes back to tell Brooke not to stand in the way of Ridge and Taylor. According to the preview video for the week of September 1st to 5th, Thomas Forrester will return to the show to caution Brooke Logan against interfering with Ridge Forrester and Taylor Hayes. Ivy Forrester informs Hope Logan at the beginning of BNB's weekly commercial that Liam Spencer only has one true love, and that is Hope. Ivy will update Hope on her recent visit to Liam and how she suggested a reunion but was turned down right away. Liam expressed his gratitude for the rejection, but he made it apparent that he still had hope for a future with Hope. Liam will get another reminder of how incredible Beth Spencer is when she does a small fashion display. Both of them will be attracted to each other due of their relationship to Beth, which will result in Liam raving about their daughter to Hope. Hope will have several reasons to think about returning to Liam, including their romantic past. Nevertheless, Hope remains engaged to Carter Walton, who is committed to getting married to her as soon as possible. Watch this space for any additional nasty romance news, as Hope will be pulled in two different directions by Carter and Liam. When Thomas unexpectedly stops by Taylor's office when he returns to Los Angeles, she will be overjoyed. Taylor will undoubtedly be happy to meet her son, as she will joyfully cry out Thomas's name and embrace him tightly. In addition to spending some time catching up with Taylor, Thomas will stop by the Forrester design office to look for Brooke. When Thomas puts Brooke on notice, Katie Logan will be present. In the weekly preview video for BNB, Thomas cautions Brooke, never do anything to put them at odds again. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Thomas will stop at nothing to prevent Brooke from threatening Taylor and Ridge's new chapter together. Brooke warns Cupid Ivy, Thomas returns. Ivy Forrester portrays Cupid on Liam Spencer's behalf in the meantime. Find out what will happen next in the CBS soap drama by reading on. Return of Thomas Forrester. Let's begin with the most thrilling news. Thomas has returned. The young man sees Taylor Hayes in the promo film as he walks inside Forrester Creations. The two give one another a tender hug. Thomas is said to return for the wedding of Ridge Forrester and Taylor. Brooke Logan issues a warning. Following their reunion, Thomas confronts Brooke in a different office. Brooke gets warned by the young man in front of Katie Logan. It is advised that Brooke should never again meddle in Ridge and Taylor's relationship. Forrester's mission at Ivy. The preview footage also depicts Ivy pursuing Liam. According to spoilers for the week of September 1st on The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam told Ivy the truth, despite her wannabe with him again. Hope is the only lady he wants and the one for him, the man informed Ivy. Ivy handled the whole situation with kindness and empathy. Ivy then confesses something to Hope Logan. Hope is informed by the jewelry designer that Liam genuinely and forever loves her. Hope for Logan's heart. Hope is already struggling to handle Deacon Sharp's pressure. Despite Hope's engagement to Carter Walton, the restaurant owner believes she should give Liam another chance. Liam isn't given up on Hope, even though she has assured him that she takes her commitment seriously. Liam's discussions with Bill Spencer over Hope make that evident. Hope doesn't want to harm Carter, even if she is aware of her feelings for Liam. Carter was incredibly understanding of her spending so much time with Liam during his fictitious brain cancer, after all. What will Hope ultimately decide, given the pressures from both Beth Spencer and Deacon? How far will Liam go to regain possession of Hope? It's confirmed that Taylor has found a new romantic partner after Ridge. Many fans will undoubtedly be excited by Taylor Hayes' new love direction now that it has been confirmed that she is dating someone other than Ridge Forrester. According to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor can't help but get sucked into Ridge's past affections for some reason. We can understand Taylor's attraction to her ex-boyfriend and her kid's father, but she ought to be aware of how this will end by now. Every time Taylor gives in to a Ridge reunion, she ends herself devastated, and this time will be no exception. Taylor is not necessarily Ridge's future, even though he is currently keeping his word. After that potentially fatal experience in Naples, Ridge and Brooke Logan's reunion is only a matter of time. Ridge will not be content until he is reunited with Brooke because he is longing for his real love. In a recent interview with TV Insider, B&B co-head writer Michael Minnis gave some clues about Taylor's romantic life. If issues arise between Ridge and his present fiancée this fall, Taylor's romantic trajectory may change significantly. The relationship between Ridge and Taylor will be put to the test, which could lead Taylor to pursue new interests, possibly with someone else that the fans will like, Minnis hinted. Naturally, there is currently no information available regarding Taylor's next suitor. Taylor might fall in love with a man she already knows, perhaps one who is going through a same romantic struggle as her, but might also be someone new to the canvas. Given that he will soon be experiencing serious issues with Sheila Sharp, Deacon Sharp comes to mind as a potential candidate. Sheila won't know where her marriage stands after this whole thing with Luna Nozawa blows up. Deacon might start to show interest in Taylor, so we'll see if a romance develops between them. There are plenty of other attractive people who would be thrilled to date Taylor, though. Stay tuned for updates on the next man who could win Taylor's heart in the future. Pretty much anyone would be preferable to flip-flopper Ridge. Thomas Forrester's unexpected return to Los Angeles during the first week of September set off a chain reaction of explosive events that would ripple across every family line on the bold and the beautiful. As the prodigal designer stepped back into Forrester Creations with a mission clear as crystal, yet tangled in a web of complicated loyalties, lingering resentments, and new beginnings. His very first act being to pull his mother Taylor Hayes into a heartfelt embrace that both celebrated their reunion and signaled his protective instincts roaring back to life. For as the week unfolded, Thomas became the unlikely warrior defending his parents' renewed union against the perpetual storm that was Brooke Logan, the woman whose history with Ridge Forrester was both a beacon and a curse, the kind of love story that seemed to never die no matter how many times it was shattered, reassembled, or betrayed. This time, however, Thomas was determined that Brooke would not sink her polished claws into Ridge again, and so he issued a stern and uncompromising warning, right there in the Forrester design office where Katie Logan listened in stunned silence, telling Brooke to stay away from Ridge and Taylor's future, to not dare interfere, to not repeat history yet again. And while Brooke raised her brows in that signature blend of indignation and wounded self-righteousness, one could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes as she recalled every moment when her choices had torn Ridge between two lives, two families, two visions of love. Yet even as Thomas made his stand, elsewhere in the city another drama was being set into motion, one that involved Ivy Forrester's soft yet deliberate intervention into the tangled love life of Liam Spencer, a man freshly scarred by medical deception, emotional betrayal, and lingering what-ifs. A man who, despite all odds and recent heartbreak, still carried a torch for the woman he once called his wife, Hope Logan, the very same Hope now engaged to Carter Walton, a man of honor, patience, and quiet passion, who nonetheless felt the tremors of uncertainty growing beneath their engagement like fault lines ready to split. Ivy, who had once dreamed of reclaiming Liam's heart herself, now found herself in an unexpected role. Cupid, confidant, and catalyst, as she gently, almost wistfully, confessed to Hope that Liam still loved her, that his rejection of her own advances was not cruelty, but clarity, that his eyes still lit up when Beth Spencer's laughter filled a room, that every word he spoke about the future somehow, someway, circled back to Hope, and Hope, already torn by the pressures of her father, Deacon Sharp, urging her to reconsider, by the memories of Liam's sacrifices and their shared child, by Carter's steadfast desire to marry her quickly before doubts festered, now found her heart dragged in two directions, the past whispering with familiar warmth, the present offering steady arms, the future hanging by a thread, woven from loyalty, passion, and the ever-scheming fate of Los Angeles's most entangled families. Meanwhile, Beth Spencer, sweet and precocious, put on a little fashion show for her father, spinning in glittering fabrics and ribbons at Forrester Creations, reminding Liam not only of the daughter they shared but the family they once were, her innocent joy becoming the quiet spark that reignited an old flame. For as Liam watched Beth twirl, he remembered nights reading her bedtime stories with hope nestled beside them, remembered the sense of wholeness he had lost when that marriage cracked beneath the weight of mistakes, betrayals, and mischances, and in that memory he resolved not to give up, no matter how firmly hope said she was committed to Carter. And as this emotional storm brewed on one front, another simmered in the shadows. Taylor Hayes, radiant yet weary from years of Ridge's indecision, basked for a moment in the security of his renewed promise to her, yet felt the cold draft of history creeping at her back. For Ridge was a man of vows as easily given as broken, a man who in one breath spoke of destiny with Taylor, and in the next found himself drawn by gravity to Brooke, their recent life-threatening ordeal in Naples serving as a crucible for their unresolved passion. And though Ridge spoke of loyalty now, those who knew him best could see the restless storm behind his eyes, a storm that co-head writer Michael Minnis teased would soon test Ridge and Taylor's relationship to its core, possibly sending Taylor down an entirely new romantic path, perhaps with someone like Deacon Sharp, whose marriage to Sheila Carter teetered on the brink thanks to the Lunanazoa chaos, or perhaps another man from her past or present who had long admired her strength yet feared her vulnerability. And in those teases lay the seeds of another Forrester shake-up, for if Taylor fell for a new man, Ridge might find himself once again racing after what he thought he lost, and Brooke, ever the phoenix, might be there to catch him as he stumbled. But in this particular week, it was Thomas's voice that carried the weight of warning, Ivy's words that stirred old affections, Beth's laughter that lit the fuse, and Hope's conflicted heart that became the battleground. For as the cameras rolled and the CBS soap opera unfolded in its slow, luxurious layers of tension and revelation, each glance, each hug, each warning held the power to reshape families. Carter pulling at one side with promises of stability, Liam pulling at the other with the ache of unfinished love, Deacon whispering about second chances, Ivy stepping back after planting the seed, Katie watching the storm gather between her sister and the Forrester heir, Taylor feeling both triumphant and uneasy as Ridge kissed her hand and spoke of their future, and the city of Los Angeles itself seeming to hum with the electric anticipation of the inevitable, because in this world, promises were rarely kept, lovers rarely stayed put, and the only constant was the next shocking twist waiting just around the corner, where Thomas's fierce defense of his mother might crumble under Ridge's wandering heart, where Brooke's patience might turn into calculated pursuit, where Hope's ring finger might grow cold before it ever warmed beneath Carter's vows, and where the memory of Liam's near death, his fake brain cancer, his desperate pleas, and his enduring love could either redeem or ruin them all. Thomas Forrester's dramatic return to Los Angeles during the pivotal week of September 1st to 5th marked not only a seismic shift in the ever-evolving saga of the bold and the beautiful, but also ignited a sprawling sequence of emotional, romantic, and familial upheavals that rippled far beyond the walls of Forrester Creations, with every corridor, every whispered conversation, and every exchanged glance weaving into a tapestry of loyalty, betrayal, ambition, and unfinished love stories for Thomas. Arrived not as the uncertain son burdened by past mistakes, but as a man forged by absence and conviction, a designer with a mission to protect the fragile, rekindled union between his mother Taylor Hayes and his father Ridge Forrester. And from the moment he stepped into Taylor's office, their heartfelt embrace radiated both warmth and unspoken urgency, an urgency that drove him straight to the design office where Brooke Logan stood, her poise immaculate, as always, beside Katie Logan, only to be confronted by Thomas's unflinching gaze and uncompromising words, a warning as sharp as a blade wrapped in velvet. Don't do anything to come between them ever again, a statement that echoed like a decree not just to Brooke's ears but to the decades of history where her love for Ridge had been both his salvation and his undoing. Katie, standing witness, absorbed the tension like a silent barometer of family storms, knowing full well that Brooke rarely backed down from destiny, and Ridge, ever the man of passion and divided loyalties, would eventually be caught between two women who defined the contours of his life. Yet, as Thomas positioned himself as sentinel of his parents' future, across town another storyline simmered into prominence, one that intertwined the fates of Liam Spencer, Ivy Forrester, and Hope Logan in a delicate, dangerous dance of memory and desire for Ivy, who once carried her own torch for Liam, had faced his gentle but firm rejection when she attempted to pitch a reunion, and rather than retreat in bitterness, she transformed into an unlikely ally of love, confiding in hope that Liam's heart still beat for her and her alone, that despite their shared heartbreak and his recent ordeals, including the fake brain cancer scheme that had nearly shattered his sanity and her compassion, his soul had not moved on, his eyes still followed the light that hope carried, and that even Beth Spencer's innocent fashion show twirling before her father's adoring gaze was enough to stir in Liam a desperate longing for the family he had lost, a longing that Ivy subtly nurtured with whispered truths and timely nudges, and Hope, caught between Carter Walton's steady devotion and the magnetic pull of her past with Liam, felt the world close in as her father, Deacon Sharp, pressed her to consider the possibility of a second chance. Beth's eyes pleaded for a reunited family, and her own heart trembled with the weight of history that included betrayals, sacrifices, and a love that had once seemed unbreakable. Carter, for his part, stood like a pillar of patience, urging her toward a swift wedding that would secure their bond before the ghosts of her past could sway her. Yet every conversation with Liam, every shared moment with Beth, every whispered reminder from Ivy, seemed to chip away at the wall she had tried to build between what was safe and what was real. Meanwhile, Ridge and Taylor's renewed commitment gleamed like glass in the California sun, beautiful, fragile, destined to crack, especially as whispers swirled of Ridge's lingering connection to Brooke, intensified by their harrowing experience together in Naples, a moment that had brought them face to face with mortality and, in its aftermath, a flood of unresolved passion. And though Ridge now kissed Taylor's hand and spoke of their future, his eyes still carried the flicker of what had been with Brooke, a flicker that co-head writer Michael Minnis hinted would soon ignite fresh turmoil, sending Taylor perhaps into the arms of a new man entirely, one unburdened by the Forrester-Logan history, perhaps Deacon Sharp himself, standing on shaky marital ground with Sheila Carter as Luna Nozoa's chaotic saga loomed. Or perhaps another unexpected player whose timing would be perfect in the way fate often was on this canvas. But in the immediate week, it was Thomas who shaped the narrative most directly, not just as a son reclaiming his place, but as a catalyst, stirring old fires, Ivy as the soft-spoken archer, loosing an arrow straight into Hope's conflicted heart, Beth as the innocent muse reminding her parents of what once was, and Brooke as the eternal phoenix, momentarily scorned yet already plotting her next move in a game she had played longer and more skillfully than most. In the dim-lit halls of Forrester, Katie pondered whether to warn Ridge of the storm brewing between his sister-in-law and his son. Deacon measured the weight of meddling in his daughter's engagement against the joy of seeing her happy with the man he still believed was her soulmate, and Carter, sensing the slip of certainty in Hope's smile, tightened his grip on plans for a rapid wedding, unaware that every delay brought Liam closer, that every day Hope spent caught in the gravitational pull of her first great love made it harder to step away. And so Los Angeles became, once again, the city of shifting allegiances.